All right, so our first step is to take our large white paper, and you will see that there are perforation, so there's like actual slits cut in each of them. And then following the slits, there is perforation lines that carry it the rest of the way. And you're gonna go ahead and fold it on itself at all those perforations. So you'll just pick a direction. It's a smooth cardstock, so there's not a front and a back. I'll spotlight myself. There's not a front and a back of this cardstock, so it doesn't really matter what direction you start folding. But once you start folding, fold them all in the same direction. And once you've done that, you should be able to build this little cube shape. And you'll want to put a piece of score tape on the tab, and then hide that tab in behind one of the 4 pieces, and that will complete your little cube. That is the main base piece of our card. Once you have glued those together, so that's only taking 1 piece of score tape, you will see that 3 of the 4, not all 4, but 3 of the 4 of those sides have a score line going across the front of them now, and that is so you can fold each of these flaps down. So you can go ahead and do that as well, and that will show you where your front and back of your card is. And that will make orientation of all the rest of your pieces much easier to find. So once you've folded all your little flaps down, you're going to go ahead and take this large, tall basketball piece of printed paper, and with whatever paper-to-paper adhesive you like to use, you're going to glue it to the back, to the inside, but the tall back that does not have a score line. So the 1 piece of the 4 sides that didn't have a score line, that stays upright. On the inside of it, you are going to glue your basketball paper, and that will then also cover your tab, like that tab that you had glued in to complete that little cube. This will go in front and hide that handiwork. And also just be really cute. And it's just nice to do this step now. It's not the end of the world if you don't do it now, but it just makes it easier to glue this in before we fill this card with all the other inserts, because you just have more wiggle room for your fingers to get in there and actually stick it down. Once you have glued that on, don't worry if you haven't yet, because there's plenty of time and I can repeat anything anybody needs me to. But if you have done that and you're ready to move on, you can go ahead and take your other 3 white pieces of paper, and you are gonna sort of like just stack them just to make sure that they are in the right order. So pick a side that is the front, that would be facing you, and just lay them down flat one on top of the other to make sure that when you have them in the card, you can see all 3. That one's not, you know, facing the wrong direction or on top of the other. Just make sure that your fronts, when you glue the printed elements on, that they're all 3 going to be visible. And once you're satisfied that your orientation is accurate, just keep it laid down on your table, and let's start gluing the little pieces down. So the football, they're all pretty straightforward because the pieces that I printed are cut to perfectly fit on top of them. So the football just gets glued right on top of the football. The baseball and basketball, one is obviously quite a bit smaller than the other, so it should be pretty straightforward which one gets glued where. And again, just any paper-to-paper adhesive. They're not heavy or anything like that, so it doesn't require a lot of adhesive to hold these in place.
This thing needs a hockey stick.
Yes, that would be an excellent addition. And then again, no rush on this. If you're still gluing your pieces down, don't panic. It's all good. I will repeat this as many times as you need. Also, it is recorded and you can go back and watch it again later. But once you have glued your little elements onto your white cardstock, I'm going to start with the football because it's by far the easiest one to apply. You're just going to glue it right down to the front of your, like the inside. So like if this is a tab, it's going inside of the box so you can't see the way that it's applied there. You want to hide it in behind, but it just gets glued right to the front inside of your little cube. Not quite sure the best way to hold it to show you that. And you want it, if you're looking at it, you want it on the right hand side. Sort of shift it off to the right hand side. Once you have that one glued in place, the other two, you will notice the base element of your white cardstock has 2 score lines down either side of the big bulky rectangle bit. So you will just fold those back or front, it doesn't really matter, but again, just pick a direction and fold them. And then you are going to put score tape on whatever side is facing out of where you've folded your score line. So whatever is facing the air outside of that space, once you folded it, you're going to put some score tape along either side, and then you will, it should perfectly fit into this cube that we've created and get glued into place. One centered. You're going to center your baseball and then put your basketball flush to the back. And for the sake of the video, I'm just going to explain the last little bit so that they don't have to sit and watch me wait for everybody. Once you're done assembling all of those, you're just going to take the last of your decorative papers and cover all the surfaces. So the footballs are going on the flat outer edges. There's 3 spots where they go, kind of tucked underneath of the flaps. And the baseball ones get glued on the flap once the flap is folded. You don't want to glue it when the flap is up, because then once the flap goes down, you can't see it. And then the star gets popped on the very back of the card, and that's the end of that.